Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm so excited to be live with you today with Melissa Mulligan. I'm going to bring her on screen. Everyone, drop in the chat a quick hello to Melissa. Thank her for being here today. And also let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always super fun to see where our global audience is watching from. So drop your name, drop a hello, and what city/country you're tuning in from. But welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ryan. I know you and I could probably talk all day, every day, and never get tired of these topics. So I'm excited that we get to do this live.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about creating meaning in your music career, talking about what the music career is looking for today. We are going to do Q&A, so be sure to stick around for that. About halfway through the stream, we're going to switch it over to you guys, and we're going to let you drive the discussion. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to start out just in case you haven't met Melissa yet. I'll read her bio really quickly just so you can familiarize yourself with what she's done in the music industry. For more than 15 years, Melissa has been one of the most trusted vocal coaches and vocal producers in the music industry. Her clients have Billboard chart-topping hits, platinum gold records, sold-out arena world tours, and billions of streams on Spotify. Some of the artists she's worked with include Jack from AJR, Reed Shannon, Cheslea Cutler, Jeremy, Zucker, Jordan, Pundik from New Found Glory, Caitlin, Kalafus, Dixie, D'Amelio, and Hailey, Knox. In 2017, Melissa formed Music Career Mastermind, a coaching collective of Grammy-winning platinum-selling producers, songwriters, and music industry experts offering grounded, inspiring mentorship to indie artists and music students around the world. So that's Melissa. Once again, if you're tuning in, say hello to Melissa and thank her for being here. So let's start our discussion. First and foremost, you specialize in mentorship, in artist development, and I first want to ask you, what is your philosophy on creating a meaningful music career? Because I know we all want streams, we all want money, right? But none of that matters if we don't find the meaning within. And so just share with our audience a little bit about what you focus on and what you try to draw out of independent artists.
That's such a great question. I'll try and answer it in a brief manner. It can be kind of hard because everybody's answer to this is different and pretty deep because it gets to the heart of like, why are we here on this earth? What makes us want to get up in the morning and show up and work this hard? And I think that if people's main priority in life is money, they're not going to choose to go into music. And honestly, most, if not all, of the musicians that I have ever met in my life, they're not really motivated by fame. They're typically motivated by, I want to be an active participant in the making of this magical thing called music. Mm-hmm. And I want to maybe be able to impact other people the way that I have been impacted by music. Right. So somewhere along the line, the messaging to musicians has become like very, very watered down and or toxic, where it's become about, well, you need to be you need to care a lot about marketing. You need to care about social media. You need to monetize it because if you don't, you're not really a professional or you're failing at the game, or you're going to have to give it up and get a real job. But none of this matters. Like there are easier ways to monetize different skills and talents that you have, and there are easier ways to feel popular and loved and valuable than trying to put music out into the music sphere today. So what I like to have artists do is get really centered around a couple of different things. Number one is, what does success really look like for you? Do you want a house in the country with a family and just you don't want to have a day job? You want music to be the source of your income? Do you not care about what your day job is, provided you get to be a part of this carnival called the music industry? And then are you aware of the current business models that exist? There are several different business models that you could choose to enter if you want this to be an income stream for you. But first things first, like what kind of life and lifestyle do you want to have? And then we can figure out how to fit the musical carnival or circus as it is into your world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. And actually, I would love if you're watching and you're thinking through these questions yourself, drop your answers in the chat. What kind of lifestyle do you want surrounding your music? What is the definition of success for you? Heck, write a paragraph in the chat. We would love
Sure.
to see it. It could help guide
Yeah.
our conversation. But I would imagine, Melissa, that there's probably a range to these answers. And
Yep.
the range probably exists from one end of the spectrum where people want to sell sold out arenas and they want, millions of fans and the riches and what they see kind of like in these icons. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where it's like, I just want to make ends meet enough so that I can create the art that I love.
Right.
And so how do you approach those really opposing viewpoints of this same item, right? Making music for a living, right? How do you
Yeah.
approach that?
Well, at the end of the day, some of the steps that an aspiring professional or a professional must take are very similar, no matter where you want to end up.
Mhm.
So I do try and start there in most cases, like it's really good for me to understand where you want to go. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, whether you want to stay independent or whether you want to enter the machinery of the music industry,
Mhm.
you need to create an urgency for people, real human beings, to take action,
Yeah.
right? Like whether you just want to sell vinyl at a gig or whether you want to have a portfolio that gets you into sync licensing or whether you want to become, Taylor Swift of the 2030s, right? Along the way, pretty quickly, you need to convince real people to do something. It's no
Yeah.
longer about the vanity numbers and the big metrics. It's not like, well, I don't need to be on social media because I don't want to be Taylor Swift, nor can you say, I don't need to write, produce, play an instrument because I'm going to get discovered like Taylor Swift, right? There's a center to it now where you really must create a core group of people, a community around you who really believe in what you're doing and want to come to shows, download your music,
Yeah.
join your Substack, your Patreon, whatever. So the platform and the methodology can vary greatly, but that's the heart of, I think, what every single music maker needs to focus on. It's just going to be in a different way for every person, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The common thread, no matter what your end goal is, it all starts with building that tribe and attracting that audience towards you, right? Towards you as the music maker. And then, yeah, I totally see how there's many splits in the road past that point. Especially when we talk about, I mean, the title of this stream today, what is the music industry looking for? I mean,
Right.
that's what they're looking for, basically. Well, maybe one of the first things in a long list uh, that follows that attraction, that audience attraction. So, what would you say to an artist who is like, okay, I'm looking for meaning in my career. That meaning starts with attracting people to my music, but maybe they don't know where to start. Like, where should they look? Do they need to look inward at how they're speaking out on social media, or do they need to look at tactics or ads or, finding an agent? Like, where should someone at the very beginning start if they want to start attracting people to their
Man,
music?
this is such a good question, and I'm glad that you asked it. My passion when talking with artists is what I call music career diagnostics.
Mm,
And this is a 20-minute to full hour process for me with an artist.
yeah.
Um, right, because I don't know. I won't know until I start to listen and look,
Mhm.
whether it's, hey, I mean, for example, I had an artist reach out and they were starting to get industry interest, right?
Yeah.
So they were starting to get industry interest and they were told, and this is what the industry will always tell you. The industry will always tell you, get your engagement up across all platforms. They'll always tell you that.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't know how artists do that. It's not their job to know how you're going to do that. And they don't need to know how. It's not their job, it's not their business. They don't really care how. But what they need to know is that you've created some sort of a fan funnel of some kind where you are pulling people more deeply into your world. They need you to do that, and they're going to need you to keep doing it long after they sign you. It's still going to be on you to do that, right? So they're just pushing it back on you. We love what you're doing. Like, you check the initial layer of the boxes. The initial interest is you're unique, you're the real deal, you're writing creatively, you've got a brand figured out, you've got an identity, you're showing up in a way that's really compelling to us, and we think you'll be compelling to other people. You check all that off. That's the first thing. It's not numbers. It's not going viral. It's literally that. Like, there are people that I work with who are getting calls who have no following, no streams, no original music even out yet. They're starting to get calls, right? But then the next level is like, build your engagement up across all platforms. So I'm working with this artist and she's like, what should I do on social media? Blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And I'm like, all you can do right now is record acoustic voice memos on your phone. You don't have the budget to hire a massive studio to release 12 singles this year. So I don't know how we're going to come up with a social media strategy or an ad strategy if you can't consistently and creatively and effectively get your music and your musical vision out there, even if some of what you're doing isn't all original, right? And so in my diagnostic review, I wanted to get her way more into music production so that not only could she maximize her content output, but also now she's taking creative control. Now she has more of a vision. Now, when the industry comes calling next time, they're not thinking, ugh, I'm also going to have to hire a producer. I'm also going to have to hire songwriters. Like, now she's the full package, right? So the starting point for me, like the thread that I pull on for people, is always different depending upon whatever holes I see, in your short-term and long-term trajectory.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to this reoccurring theme that or conversation I have with a lot of artists, that you have to become the artist that can take it all the way, right? And someone who can't record themselves or doesn't have a collaborator, right? If they're so dependent on others, then you're just not that person yet who can get signed, that can have 5-10 albums under their belt, right?
Right.
That's a really great point. And I see a little confusion in the chat. It's not that these artists are getting signed with no streams, is that there's interest, and basically the artists are getting put in like a little folder, right? Am I understanding that correctly? It's like, hey, you look great, get your socials up, and then we'll start talking a most likely terrible deal for you to sign.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of really legitimate concern and distrust of people in the industry. By the way, that goes both ways. There are people in the and I'm not here as an industry insider. I mean, I work with people in the industry, but I don't sign people. I don't get involved in management or anything like that. I want artists to love their lives and not get taken advantage of. Like, that's my deal. But yeah, what'll typically happen is, an A&R person will reach out and just say, I saw some stuff. It seems to be, maybe it had a little viral moment, or it just kind of crossed my feed, and I'm a little interested. Like, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
We should maybe chat a little bit. They're not getting signed. Sometimes people are in these conversations with management and A&R reps for years, They just kind of keep saying, I think you should focus on this. Maybe build up your live show. Maybe, I don't know, I genuinely like you and I'm willing to give you some feedback. But no, they're not getting signed right off the bat until no really good deals are happening until people are really establishing, a very, very strong active following. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So yeah, moving into the next question. In addition to having the it factor and having some kind of viral moment, like you said, what really is the music industry looking for in an artist nowadays? Because I know that a lot of people are probably hoping to get signed one day. And if you're in the chat watching, like, let us know, like, is it your goal one day to sign a record deal? And let us know if it's not as well, because I want to know that. I want to see your answers in the chat. But Melissa,
Yeah.
what is the short list, or maybe it's a long list, of what the music industry is looking for today in an unsigned independent artist?
Yeah, I recently it's funny, most labels I feel like are a little bit, they like to keep it vague, when they talk about it, but I actually got a written out list, from a large independent label that I work with, yeah, and I was, like, glad to see that it's exactly what I've been saying, because I was a little nervous to open it, like, "Oof, maybe they've shifted a little bit," but I think it's important to know that the music industry, they totally are on to, they're on to all of it. They
Mhm,
understand, right? They're on to the fact that people are investing in ads
mhm,
to, boost their streams. And not that it's a fake boost, but that, they understand that artists are taking this on now,
yeah,
They're doing ads, they're focusing on their streams. They're in recent years, paying for services that were really, really bogus and
mhm,
bots
like
and
box, yeah.
social media bots and all of that stuff.
Mhm, mhm,
So then the industry shifted more toward the metric of engagement, like
mhm,
comments and
mhm.
likes. And then the bots and AI kind of caught up with that
Yeah,
as
bot
well.
confidence, yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be thrilled to hear, I think, that the number one thing that labels and managers are looking for is real high quality creative artistry.
Hmm,
100% across the board. Now you can play the game if you want and say, "I don't believe that I need to be that unique or that special. I'm just gonna put all my money in marketing and try and go viral because then they won't be able to say no to me if I've gone viral." To me, that's not a very fun game to play, and that's not why we're here, you know?
right. Mhm,
But what I'm also seeing is, TikTokers getting signed and dropped within 6 months because they're not the real deal, and people wanted to maybe someone in the industry was like, "Hey, we can monetize this viral moment, like, with this one specific song or with this one specific single, but now that we know that the artist really doesn't have all that much to offer behind the scenes, they're just sort of getting dropped." So,
yeah.
if you are looking for a long-term career and you are looking for an industry partner who believes in your vision, like a good deal, not a shady fly-by-night deal. If you're looking for a positive business relationship with someone in the industry, you should know that the new era of music industry professionals, who most of whom are under the age of 35, they are really looking for real, real artistry. And
Mhm,
so your first job is to become the best, most creative, outside of the box, new something, as a
mhm,
songwriter, producer, performer, instrumentalist, vocalist, whatever you are,
mhm,
and then really do your best to put that into the world in a really creative way on top
mhm.
of that. So they're not just looking for creative, high quality artistry and music, they're looking for you to embody that in the way that you engage with people, show up on different social platforms, etc. That's like the first gate. And then the second one is that proof of concept is, are you leaving no stone unturned in getting people to take action? And how
Mhm.
successful are you at getting people to take action, to not just comment on your stuff, but join a Discord server, join a newsletter, stream on Spotify? Are you getting press? Are you submitting to blogs, etc.?
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about that because the same goals of an independent artist to make income or to take someone deeper into your journey, get them into a VIP group like a Patreon or Discord or whatever that the labels have the same goals too, right? Because they need to monetize off you, right?
Yes.
It's actually more similar than a lot of artists realize. But we'll talk about that second. The first thing I wanted to dig a little deeper into is you said creativity across the board, right? And so I think a lot of musicians tuning in would think, oh yeah, I know my music's creative. I know my lyrics are creative, but I just don't want to put myself out there on social media. How important is being creative on social media to labels? And is that something that we can just kind of hide away and like kind of be the artist in the cave and never put ourselves out there? Or do labels really require us to be the full package?
They require you to be the full package. And I would say that current commerce requires you to be the full package. I was working with an artist who is currently on a world tour. I mean,
Mhm.
selling out Radio City Music Hall and Red Rocks and, all of that. And this artist has been doing that now for a few years. And when I was working with this person, I think this conversation was 2 years ago. They were in the midst of, scaling up to these larger venues and the TV performances, Jimmy Kimmel, all of that. And they were like, I hate social media so much. I hate it so much. And now my label is requiring me to post to TikTok like 3 times a day.
Mhm.
So not only do you need to, I'm not saying you need to post a TikTok 3 times a day. It's just an example of that fantasy that I can be an artist and someone else will handle that aspect of the business. That's like saying, I'm going to be in movies, but I'm not going to go on Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or the red carpet. Like, I'm not going to do any of the press circuits.
Yeah.
Like, you are your own representative. And the expectation today is that you are going to figure out a creative way to make this work for you.
Mhm.
I am a fan, however, of helping artists do this in a way so that they don't feel like it's sucking their soul dry
Yeah.
and so that they don't feel like it's sucking all of the fun out of what it
Mhm.
takes to be a music maker. So if you hate it, we have to figure out a way for you to not hate it so much,
Yeah.
figure out some ways where you can engage and it works for you. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's just working through the problem instead of running from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah. I won't deny that it's a problem and I won't deny that it's unfair. However, I don't want you to lose a career opportunity because of it. That's unacceptable to me.
yeah.
So we'll figure out a way through. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I'm taking away from our conversation so far is just how similar and how your job as an independent artist doesn't really change that much once you're signed, right?
No.
You still are the creative visionary. You still are in charge of all of your social posting, all of the performance, all of the views, all of the fan interaction, right?
Yep.
None of that ever, like the fantasy, like you said, is that like I just want to be creative. I just want to be in the studio. It's like there really isn't a category, even as a signed artist, where that can even be a possibility.
Right.
And I think that's a huge misnomer, especially on the Reddit threads or like I don't know, uh, like there's so many variations of this dream. But wow, it's crazy to think that if musicians just kind of improve their skill set from the get-go and get healthy with content, get and build their creative skills in the studio as well, so they're not reliant on always getting outside help. That's really going to solve a lot of problems, whether they get signed or not. but especially if they get signed and they realize that it's not always greener on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a lot of work on the other side of it. Like, that is the starting line of the next level of the most work you've ever done in your life.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier, it gets harder, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Wild. Hey, and so let's talk about that other thing. So we talked about what the music industry is looking for today. We talked about being the whole package. Now let's talk about fan acquisition, getting them into like closer into your world. This is what labels want, but this is also what you want as an independent artist. What would you say should be the goal of an independent artist for every single fan that they encounter on social media or maybe at a show? Like, what is the best thing that an artist can do to bring people who are listening to their music closer into the fold?
Mm. Do you mean from a content creation standpoint or from more of like a strategy standpoint?
Ooh, that's a really great question. Let's say that you did want to get signed one day,
Mhm.
and so you wanted to demonstrate to a label that you have the it factor and that you are an attractive person. Like what,
Ah,
and I'm not talking about faking it. Like what would you literally
yeah.
have to achieve in order to be that package for a
Okay.
label?
So this is like a 3-month process typically, like with
Mhm.
artists that I work with. I take them through a 3-month process, and we start with what I call your artist identity roadmap. And
Mm,
so inside of doing that work with my prompting, um, artists do a few different things. Number 1 is they get really clear on who they're talking to. Right?
mm,
There's all this talk about, "You need to know who you are." Like, that is hard for one person to say about themselves, you know? But but it often really helps if you can figure out exactly who you want to talk to. Not your marketing demographic, not,
mm,
middle-class people between the ages of 18 and 25, but, like, who's in your heart that you wanna
mm,
talk to, that you wanna reach? Who needs to hear you, you know?
mhm,
So it's a mixture of that and also, doing a lot of mood boarding and brand boarding
mhm,
around your aesthetic, your vibe, all of the things. Definitely getting clear on like your elevator pitch, your bio, like all of that,
mhm,
all of the background of just what do you want to present inside of this project, like your project identity, as well as who are you identifying with? Who are you speaking to?
mhm,
And then the content that you create, I would say you need to push yourself to be the most supersized version of that artist talking to that person than you could possibly imagine. Like, now is not the time to play it safe.
hmm,
Now is not the time to download a TikTok blueprint of what hashtags to use to be smart and go viral. Like, now is the time to break the mold.
hmm. Yeah.
99.9% of the artists on TikTok do not have careers. So
Mhm,
why are you trying to follow them and do what they
mhm.
do? Right? Like, you want results that like the smallest sliver of the online population is getting. So why are you so worried about what the blueprint is? This is not working for most people, you know? So now is the time to go really bold, get super creative, but also just make sure that you have a vision. You
Mm.
have a vision and you're really, really going for broke with it.
No, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of the artists who are like, "Oh, I just need a list of Spotify playlists to get on."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Bro, you if you find that list, are you telling me that those people are not just overwhelmed with inquiries?" And
right.
it's like the same thing with hashtags. If you find a list of hashtags, are you telling me you wanna join in on that noise when you should be focusing on the creative aspect that makes you unique? And honestly, like what I'm finding in social media is that it really matters what you do on video and not so much the hashtags, the captions, or
Yes.
whatever, like formula, whatever. Like you gotta set your post up this way. None of that matters. what matters is you and how you present yourself on camera at the end of the day.
100%. And let me tell you, every marketing strategy out there, like every solid marketing strategy, like especially from Ryan, but most really sound grounded marketing strategies will work for the people who are really going for it, being super creative, know who they are willing to get vulnerable, brave, crazy, creative. The people who are just like, I am just going to follow this formula and I'm going to invest these many dollars and get these many views. If there's no passion, you're not going to convert people into being passionate about you at the end of the day.
That's incredible. So we talked about social media. We talked about what record labels want. Let's take it all the way back to the beginning, right? The music.
Yeah.
What would be your either tips or the main categories of focus when it comes to creating the absolute best song? Because that's the bedrock for all of this empire that we want to build, right? It all rests on a great catalog of songs. And so what would you say an independent artist watching today would need in their song to grab attention from industry or to grab the hearts of fans, right? What is it that most songs are missing and what do they need to include in their music?
Whew. Well, this is like an entire grad school curriculum now, right? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to tell you is you're not going to become a better songwriter by listening to me talk about it on YouTube. You're just not.
Preach. Yeah.
You're not going to find it in a YouTube tip, no matter how smart Ryan and I are. It's not going to help you. I strongly believe I don't believe in feedback on finished songs. I hate that. But I do believe in mentorship to get you to figure out that you are way better and more brilliant than you think you are.
Yeah.
And that there is room for you to stretch beyond where you think you can. So I'm just a big fan of, that's why this is going to sound like such a segue into an infomercial, but it is why I formed Music Career Mastermind. And maybe I can circle back and kind of fill in the blanks a little bit there because the why I think is meaningful. It speaks to this, but I truly see people transform when they're working with a mentor or two, either in music production, that always impacts you as a songwriter, or with a songwriting mentor, and not someone who's interested in making your song better or different, but someone who's able to light up your brain in different ways. Just inspire new ideas to come out of you, new arrangements, new musicality, whatever. That's what we all need. And I think what we all crave. It can really be difficult to know when a song is magical enough for you to stop messing with it and put it out there in the world. And it can also be tough to know when, yes, you're talented. This song is just as good as anything else that's out there in the world, but maybe there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more than you can do with the way this lyric scans in this verse that would just make it pop, right out of our speakers. It's hard to do that by yourself, I think.
Yeah, no, that's really great. I'm glad you said that. And really quick, I just want to say we're going to shift into Q&A pretty soon. So if you had a question in your mind, start typing that now. Get that in the chat. We're going to shift our focus to Q&A. And I saw a few questions that we can scroll back up and answer as well.
Sure.
But that's really great. How important do you think the vocal performance is in capturing a fan? Because I know that there are obviously a lot of independent artists out there who do vocal-less music, right? Instrumentals. There are DJs who hire vocalists, right? But they're more of like a producer role. And I saw someone in the chat ask about that earlier, about the role of a producer on social media, and we can get to that, Andy. And then there's the third category of artist where you write and sing your own music. And is there an advantage to having a vocal in the industry? And how important is vocal talent when it comes
Mm.
to making it?
Okay. This is now we're on like some of my favorite questions that I've ever been asked in my life. How important is it to have a vocal? I mean, I think the vocal is typically the window to the human soul for most people. You
Mm,
know, I mean, it's why they say, on social media, your face will stop somebody's scroll more than a beautiful piece of scenery,
yeah.
right? Because we're just looking for that human connection. That's not to say that you can't have an amazing career if your contribution to music is the instrumental side or the track making side. Certainly, there's an industry for instrumental, music, especially for sync licensing,
Mhm.
and there are some listeners who prefer it. But if you're talking about that stereotypical artist pathway, yeah, I think the vocal's key. If you want to be the artist, especially, I think the vocal is key. Um, there are some, exceptions to the rule, like, Santana and Avicii and people like that. But,
You can say his guitar sings, right?
yeah. But vocal talent, um, I don't love the term talent because I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means like, I never took a lesson and I've been singing great since I was 5. Or if it means, I used to sound like a dying cat until I took lessons and then I worked really hard and now I sing like Adele and everybody thinks I'm talented. So I try to stay away from that word,
Mm,
um but vocal skill and vocal creativity and vocal intention are where the magic happens. And what I hear in 99% of the recordings on Spotify by independent artists are skilled vocals lacking intention, either on the performance side or in the vocal production decision-making side.
yeah, that's a big part too.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge part. It's
Mhm.
hard to make those decisions for yourself, but it's what I can teach you to do that. I can teach you how to listen to your own vocal takes, listening for something other than pitch, chest voice, did I
Mhm.
sing this well? And
Mhm.
listening more with, like, other people's goosebumps in mind, which is
Mhm.
really what you have to start to do. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Actually, really quick, while people are typing in their questions, we'll move into Q&A now. And honestly, you guys viewing, you can ask questions about this last topic about vocal performance because Melissa is a pro vocal coach. So that would be huge. We can take questions on what the music industry is looking for. And if you had anything that you uh, didn't get a chance to type in, now's the time. But as people are typing in their questions, Melissa, can you share with us really quick how a viewer can connect with you if they love what you're saying, if they want to learn more about Music Career Mastermind? Where should they go, and what should they do to connect with you?
Sure. Well, I believe a link was just popped into the chat by your moderator. That is a very special page that I created just for Ryan and his friends here. You can just register on that page. You'll immediately get my free masterclass called "Creating a Meaningful Music Career."
Ooh.
But that also contains info on how you can submit and you can basically download your life to me in a form. You can send me music, you can let me know what's working, what isn't working, what type of, support or guidance, you're looking for, and, the way that I do it is I usually trade some voice notes, back and forth with you over email, and then if you really want a deep dive, like for me and the entire team, we can talk about that, and I can sit down with all of my Grammy and platinum winning teammates and we can get you some real guidance. Yeah.
Yeah, what an incredible opportunity. So yeah, follow that link if you want to literally give your music life story to Melissa. She'll give you feedback and also the next steps that's customized to your situation, what you're doing. And everyone loves
Yeah.
that. World's Yours Entertainment, Prayer Hands, G Life Music says that's dope. Appreciate it. Let's dive into some questions.
Okay.
I saw one earlier that I'll have to find. So in the meantime, good question from Colin. We'll pop that on the screen first. He's asking, how does one who is more classically trained in singing gear their social media presence? It's an
Oh,
interesting question. Yeah.
well, Colin, I happen to know you. So I'm always thrilled. I know Colin G very well. It is no different. I don't think it is any different than the way you would create a social media presence. I think you get clear on what you want to put out into the world. You create a vision in your head for who it is that you want to reach. You want to bring classical music to or classical vocals to a younger audience. I think they're ready for it. I know they are. Go on TikTok and Instagram and find some others, who are doing it and having success. And that'll show you two things. It'll show you, yeah, there are people out here who care. But also it'll show you what not to copy because there are people already doing certain things. You don't want to copy those people. But yeah, just go for it. Don't hold back.
Awesome. Next question. This is the one that I remembered from Andy Zimmerman. He was asking, what if you're not the front person? What if you are behind the scenes like an instrumentalist producer? What should they do with their social media presence? A lot of social media questions today.
Yeah. So Andy, I'm sort of interpreting this question to mean you'd like to know, can one get away with not getting involved in social media if your
Mhm.
career trajectory is more of an instrumentalist or a producer? I don't answer the question of what can I get away with not doing and still become successful. I answer the question of what is the best way for me to reach my goals.
Mhm.
And so if your goals are to be involved as a music maker in any way, some best practices involving social media 100% will apply to you. Now, are you going to, try to get 16-year-olds to, join a Discord server and fangirl over you? Probably not. Your targeted audience is going to be different, but do you need to reach people and have your social media be like an advertising portfolio for the work that you do? And do you need to have proof of concept that the work you do is good and people care about it? Yeah. And so you will have a social media presence of some kind. I just don't know what it looks like yet, until we actually dive in together.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Good question from Joanne here. She's asking about AI. Do labels care about using AI in video, photos, art in the creation of our brand? And I'm assuming she means like album covers too, AI
Right.
album covers.
Yeah.
What
No, I think they'd think you're smart and efficient. Be like, good, someone who gets it and isn't afraid of the times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cypher's asking, what's the best direction for us unique folks who are horrible with branding? I like how he's like, for us uniquely challenged folks. No, I'm just kidding. Horrible with branding because I write everything. So he sees himself more as the poet, I'm guessing, the songwriter, I call it the creative cave, where
Yeah.
you're very comfortable in there, just
Yeah.
creating art, but not very out in the open. What would you say is the best direction for those people? Maybe to break out of their shell or exit the cave.
Yeah. I think you do have to exit the cave.
Mhm.
Um, you It might mean collaborating more,
Mhm.
with
Some cheat
maybe
code.
people who want to be out there, if you don't want to be, see, I don't really know, like Cypher, normally we would be chatting a little bit and I would be like, okay, do you want to perform at all? Do you want to be a part
Mhm.
of a band or an ensemble? Are you just hoping to get cuts on other people's stuff? Like it depends, but there is a way through for sure. And again, not everybody needs to become a TikTok celebrity in order to have a career. There are ways that you can develop a community and have a live living internet portfolio, on some platforms that displays what you do and allows people to connect with you. And we just have to figure out what that is.
Yeah, and that seems like the perfect opportunity to get some customized feedback. So check out that link. I just put it up on the screen because Melissa is willing to do that deep dive. As she said, download your life story for her. Uh, and I'm assuming this is also a limited time opportunity too. So don't sleep on this.
Yes, please don't sleep on it. I would say get it into me by the end of the week.
Awesome. Another great question from G Life. I'll put on the screen.
Yeah.
He's asking about your opinion on streaming now, today. Do you believe music will ever go back to, I'm assuming D2C is regarding downloads, right? You can clarify that. I'm not familiar with D2C. Direct to consumer, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what do you think? Do you think streaming's here to stay? Do we need to fit within this Spotify framework that's been forced upon us?
I think that, well, here's what I think. I think both. I think it's here to stay and the business model is not sustainable long term. I also think with, AI, we are already in a phase where people really don't know what to believe and they don't know what's real. Are you all seeing this? I mean, I work with a lot of young artists, like between the ages of like 16 and 26, and they get so angry at the idea of, somebody's like doesn't really play, is lip syncing, like isn't real, the deep fake of the videos
Yeah,
and stuff. Because I mean,
AI vocals.
yeah, it's just, so I think we're entering an era where no one's gonna believe anything's real unless they were there to see it happen.
Hmm.
And I'm excited for that. I know I'm not exactly answering the streaming question. I don't know how it's gonna change. Be prepared for a big change and several big changes within the next 2 to 7 years. I think there will be a big revolution. I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like. Nobody could.
Yeah.
But one thing that's really interesting is I heard a teenager say to me, like, I saw a video of this guy and like he wasn't plugged in at all. And and I was like, so he was just singing, like he was just playing the guitar and singing. Like that's just called open mic night where I come from. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, I think we're entering an era where live performances and hard copies of things are going to have a lot of value because the rest of it could just be a deep fake.
Yeah, it's gonna be basically the digital rebellion against AI.
Yeah.
Just imagine, and you mentioned streaming is gonna change in the next few years, and wanna offer, like, imagine when AI music, like AI music production, there are already
Yeah.
apps out there, but when it becomes more mainstream and like,
Right.
a DJ can literally produce, 500 songs a day using AI, Spotify is gonna have to respond to that in some
Right.
way. And it's going to be weird, and that's going to have ripples on social media because now
Yes.
AI editing is coming into play. So what if a creator can create 500 posts a day fully edited, you
Yep.
know and it's yeah, I think, and a lot of these AI creators are doing it already on YouTube with faceless YouTube channels. You've probably seen some, and I'm sure
Right.
a lot of you guys watching on YouTube right now probably follow a few of these where it's like the AI voice, no face on screen. And so as a YouTuber, I understand that my unique strength is putting my face on screen because that is not AI-able. Well, maybe one day it will be, right? But there's probably something in the eyes that might look a little more real to you. I don't know. But a lot of things are going to change. But I think authenticity is going to always be valuable in the currency of relationships, especially in artistry. So great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Great question from Felicia. Wondering about how you feel about Instagram and Facebook verification. I'm assuming she's talking about the subscription that they just rolled out.
Mhm.
Subscribe to verify. She's asking, there's also a way you can apply instead of it being given. I saw it on the Career Mastermind page. I've wanted to ask about it. Yeah. So what do you think about Instagram verification?
Well, yeah. So first of all, Felicia, in case you didn't hear, with Instagram, you do not have to apply anymore. You can just subscribe for the blue check mark at $14.99 a month. Last I checked, it was $14.99 a month. So I do all the things. Felicia is a longtime mastermind grad of mine. So Felicia, you probably know this, but I still do all the things so that my artists don't have to waste the money on them if they're worthless. So when new things cross my desk, like new opportunities to like do different things, I do them so that I can give you guys my personal opinion on it. What I can tell you is the blue check mark tells a viewer this person provided their driver's license to the metaverse in exchange for the blue check mark. So it verifies that I am an actual person with ID and that my name on my profile matches my ID. So I think that for me, it does authenticate that I am the actual Melissa Mulligan, vocal coach and music career coach. I think it's important for me. Sometimes I do have people reach out and they're like, how do I know this is really you? How do I know you're not just a scam from another country? So for me, I feel like it's like, well, I can verify, that I at least gave my ID to the metaverse. I think that there is still a misconception out there that if you have the blue check mark, maybe you're like a little bit famous or a little bit more legit, which is, I think, why some artists are doing it early on. I don't think it's going to do you any good. I think there's probably like a production plugin for $15 a month that would be more worth your time specifically or your money specifically, Felicia. But if anyone else has thoughts on it, they've tried it and they feel like it's worked for them or it's been important, let me know. Ryan, do you have thoughts on that?
I do. I would just say that that check mark isn't going to improve your chances of going viral or increase the reach of your account. The quality of your content and potency of your message and your creativity will do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I have the check mark, mostly just so that I can verify that I'm a real person too, because I sell stuff. And, maybe at some point, if you sell stuff online through your music brand, then that might make more sense in that context. But as for reaching new people and brand awareness, I'd say that the check mark's not a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question from Warren. Can you speak to the importance of collaborations for growing your audience and network versus working solo all the time, I'm assuming? Right? How important is that, Melissa?
That's such a great question, Warren. And I thank you for that. In Music Career Mastermind, we recently pulled in a manager who manages, who was managing artists like John Bellion, Cheslea Cutler, Logic.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody asked him about networking. Like, what's the best way to network in this industry? And he was like, the number one thing that you need to do is network laterally.
Hmm.
Like, stop worrying about networking up, just like expand your network, collaborate with other people, share shows with other people,
Mhm.
compliment other people, in your world, inside and outside of your lane of music. Then we brought in a multi-Grammy winning, multi-Emmy winning songwriter to come in and speak with our group. And somebody asked him, what's the best way that I could expand myself as a songwriter? And he was like, collaborate laterally. It's like universally, everybody will tell you this. It's not just me, that the best thing for your soul, for your network, and for your creativity is to just expand your community with artists,
Mhm.
just in any way that you can. There is no downside to expanding your community. Collaborate on everything as much as you can, Doesn't mean that you have to release everything you write with other people. It doesn't mean you have to compromise on your vision or get sidetracked, but make those connections. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Everyone, I just want to let you know we're in the final few minutes of our stream. So if you have any remaining questions, be sure to start typing those in the chat now. We have a few more questions that we'll get to. Next is from G Life. But before you go, make sure to check out the link that I'll put on the screen right now. Melissa's offering an opportunity to download your life story to her. She will give you feedback on what your next steps should be as an artist. And it's completely free, no strings attached. And so you definitely want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're watching live, get in before the people who are not live, watch the recording and reserve your place in line. Wouldn't that be smart? But definitely do that now. We'll get to our last few questions, but I just want to say thank you, Melissa, for dedicating your afternoon hanging out with us today. Just dropping wisdom, gems all on us. Really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Few more questions left in the stream. Next from G Life. How important is having your profile picture in unison on all of your social media platforms if you're building your brand as an artist, right? How important is congruency across your whole brand?
The industry likes to see it. They like to see that there's intention and professionalism around it.
Mhm.
The profile picture in and of itself isn't going to make or break your reach, or attract more people to you. It's going to take a lot more than that. But I do teach that as sort of like a fundamental thing to get things lined up. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, that's good. And let me read this question really quick. It's a long one. Good question. Okay, pull it up. Location. This is such a good question.
Mm.
This, you know, what do you think, Melissa? Like, there's LA, there's New York City, there's Nashville, but then there's the internet. Does it matter where you live anymore?
Um, I feel like I'm gonna pick on Andy. Are you asking me, can I get away with not moving because I don't wanna move?
Poor
I don't
Andy.
know. It depends. It truly depends, I think, on who you are as a person and what you need in your life, and whether or not that would make sense for you. I have seen many, many artists need to move because
Mm,
they just weren't thriving and
mm,
finding community, and they were just withering inside because they weren't in a vibrant artistic music city,
mhm,
and they just absolutely needed to. There is something to be said for being a part of a scene in person. However, if it's not an option or it's not a good option for you, can you come up with a strategy that focuses on the internet? For sure.
mm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, that was it for our stream today. Can everyone just please in the chat thank Melissa for being here with us today? It was amazing. Thank you so much for answering all those questions and sharing your perspective on what the music industry is looking for. And we really got into some great detailed meaningful answers. And so I want to just thank you for your time. I know the audience was thankful. Andy saying thank you. Andrew, thank you. Joanne is saying thank you. John saying thank you.
Oh,
GI
thank you
fam,
guys.
very
This is
much
great.
appreciated. Love
Love
you,
you,
Mel.
Felicia.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, be sure to click that link if you want to take advantage of Melissa's offer to take a look at your music career. It's totally no strings attached. Such a great opportunity to have her expert brain focused on you. And so definitely take advantage of that before the stream ends. If you're watching the recording, find that link probably in the description or somewhere. But next time, make it here live.
Go find it.
And with that, thank you once again, Melissa. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, hopefully we do this again soon.
I would love to. Thank you all. This is awesome. I could talk to you all forever.
Yes. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in live, and I'll see you in a future stream. It was a scream. Make sure to subscribe for future notifications for future live streams. Make sure you subscribe with the notification bell. That way you get notified. Even if you didn't know this was going to happen, you can get that notification on your phone and tune in next time. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.